ticket prices remain relatively stable. Governor Du Jiahao visited railway stations to review their work. As long as we follow President Xi's lead and guidance from the central government, victory will be ours. Hunan Wangwang Hospital. Homemade disinfectant offered to neighborhoods free of charge. Also interspersed throughout the report were music videos eulogising good deeds under the guidance of the party. Western audiences might find it ridiculous, but sadly, this has become a social norm in China whenever the government tries to avoid the public crisis. But is the propaganda effective?
How's the stream? I got a little bit of light on me tonight. Who's with me? I just wanted to, yeah, we do have some sun. It's still daylight here. It's only 10 till 6. This is a little much.
Propaganda tactic because to the Chinese government, it's very clear, even from Xi Jinping's directive, it's very clear the government put propaganda purpose on top of rescuing people, and Chinese government control all.
Stream looking good, very well.
So when people being quarantined down at home or in hospitals.
I wanted to catch up with you guys, maybe listen to a couple of reports that I've been following. Also, she can hear me loud and clear. Very good. Welcome, Lori, up north. JT, Andrea, Tara. Good to see you all. So, the latest report from those who have come in contact with Japanese tourists. We have 30 who are being quarantined right now. So, COVID-19 is or has made its appearance in the Hawaiian Islands. All right. There are no confirmed cases yet. However, those in charge say it's only a matter of time. So, be praying for us here in Hawaii, but also you guys on the mainland. I think this is much worse than we will know until a couple of weeks have passed. The reason for that is the incubation period for this thing is, more than 24 days. So, trying to get my lighting right. That is a very big concern because the Japanese couple who are here came on their vacation here, were asymptomatic, and was showing some signs of being sick before they left. And then by the time they got to Japan, they were very ill. The condition right now is critical. So they have identified at least 30 who have had contact with just a Japanese couple. And, they got them on a voluntary quarantine, which I don't know if this is so serious. I don't know if that rates that kind of response. I think it needs to be taken seriously because of the long incubation period, the potential for many people to be affected before things are under control, right? And so what they decided was volunteer quarantine, and if you start to become sick, they will take you to a military base at Pearl Harbor, is the designated quarantine area for Hawaii. So it's pretty serious. No N30, what do you call it, N95? Someone just gave me this, so it's not like I went out and bought masks. I had it really for a prop to talk to you guys because these will not save you. Okay, and I mean that in it. Some of that are going to take that so wrong and be like, well, you're giving false information. You're gonna get someone sick. All right. So what I mean by that is, if you have a relationship with the Most High, you're walking in His name, and I'm saying this because His Word says it. in many places. The pestilence will not come near you. Right? 10,000 fall at your right and 1,000 at your left. In the day of distress, you call upon him. So, well, some will say, well, that's pretty foolish. Is it really? You know, I've been following Bible prophecy and reading the Bible for many years. I've got a relationship with him. He's never let me down. Now, he's put me in the fire. I've been, you know, in the trials before. But he's always brought us out. In this situation, it's very concerning. And I would even say for Christians, it's a new ballgame. I reported that in 1918, many of the survivors, and this is known because of you know, the interviews done 100 years later, many of the survivors were believers in Jesus Christ. Even confessed this in their interview, that many of them called on Jesus to save them. Well, folks, there was reported that 61 South Korean Christians from the Assemblies of God are infected. And, you know, that was striking to me, because here we got believers and they're deathly ill, very, very, very sick. And I'm sure they're praying. I am absolutely certain they're praying. And many people are probably praying for them. Will they survive? That's, you know, remains to be seen. But, you know, I'm reminded of a prophecy from a messianic prophet, and this was years ago, who understood the value of knowing the names, the true names. And he said that there will come a day where Christians, in the time of trouble, will come to their pastors with their dead children and ask why Psalm 91 did not apply. What happened? Right? And I'm reminded of that when I see this Assemblies of God church group who have been affected. I saw a really interesting, let me see if I can find it. A really interesting, we'll listen to it together. I can't do a screenshot right now, but I will be able to do that tomorrow, because, folks, guess what? I'm able to get my computers now, because many of you responded to the call for help yesterday, and I want to thank you guys personally. Now, I mean, in you know, in video, I can't come and personally thank you, but here now, I would like to just, you know, say your first name. I don't want to steal your blessing from the Father and say your first and last name. So, and many of you who have donated before say, please don't do that. But I still want to acknowledge that we appreciate your giving and helping us out. So I'll be able to get on my computer program, searching codes, and be able to report back to you guys tomorrow. Bertrand, Lois, Robert, Lorraine, Louise, Jerry, Terrence Vaughn, Terrence, one of my former students, Warren, Deanna, Brandon, Allison, Lori, Mark, Denise, Diane, and Sarah. I want to thank you guys for donating even the smallest amount. You're still cherished, and thank you so much. I know that, you know, times are tough for everybody, and not everyone can give. But, you know, judging by what you did, some of you gave much, and some of you gave, you know, what you could. And we are thankful for each and every one of you, and we're praying for you that Yahuwah will bless you and keep you safe in this time of distress. We're all in this together. We are committed to bringing you the word of truth, or the truth of the word, but also keep you informed of what's going on in prophecy as far as prophecy is concerned, but also bringing you the best Bible codes that we can bring with a high standard of methodology. We don't play around here. And I don't just throw things out there unless it's a solid code. And we hold our students to a high standard in that regard as well, so that what's put out is credible Bible codes. I mean, we're talking about, you know, extracting the hidden in a sea of randomness. And this is why, searching codes, if diamonds were just laying on the ground and everywhere, and, it wouldn't be a special thing. But when you got to work for it, when you can dig for it, and you find this diamond, and you just are so amazed at what you found. It's the same thing in finding codes. Just something comes over you when the Holy Spirit reveals something that is a solid code. And so we're committed to bringing that level of codes to you. So the main part of doing this broadcast was I wanted to thank you guys, especially Robert Flood. Incredible brother. I wish I could embrace you and hug you. Thank you. My whole family thanks you for helping us. And that goes for all of you. So, I saw a video this morning. Let me try to find it. I'm yakking. Give me a second. It was very interesting. We're talking about the economic impacts and some of the logistical impacts of this virus.
Tens of thousands of reports in China working for them. They send everybody home.
And this is, I know this is true because something he says in here has affected me directly. Okay, so many of you know that, Apple and Google and Amazon, a lot of they outsource everything to China. And computer parts is one of those things. Motherboards, things like that. Because there's such a strain on the shipping, meaning that there are ships that are docked, that are loaded down, that cannot move, right? Everything is shut down. So nothing is shipping right now. Very little shipping is going on. And issues as simple as, we're talking about, production lines in South Korea producing, $25,000 cars, and they cannot produce these cars because they're waiting on a $5 wiring harness for each one of these cars. And these harnesses are made by hand in China. So the trickle-down effect that this is going to have, and that's why I said in the next few weeks we need to be watching this, because what we're going to see, and I'm making this prediction right now, is equivalent to what Cubans see every day. And what I mean by that is, in any given Cuban establishment in Cuba, the shelves are very bare, and what they do have on the shelves are very random things. Just whatever they can get in, they'll have. Toilet hardware and a basketball and some $1 shoes. And I'm saying this because I saw this on a report of how bad it is. This is unrelated to this issue, but how bad it is and has been in Cuba because of the sanctions. It is a very similar thing, but on a global scale. The shelves, the stock that is on the shelves and in American warehouses now will eventually dwindle. And because there is such a buffer in time, every day that there are ships that should be coming into ports every day. Because that has shut down, it will have a trickle-down effect all the way down the line to those truck drivers who are moving and shaking 24 hours a day, getting it on down the road and to their destinations. That will all slow down and become a trickle. And so some of the things you might expect to see is black market sales. I'm already seeing this right now in the midst of this crisis. There are those out there right now, even YouTubers who are Christians, who are profiteering from this coronavirus. And now what I mean by that is they're selling masks and they're selling goggles because you can't get it nowhere else. Folks, that's a little bit tasteless. I mean, really. Support people with information, but to fleece them because you got them thinking that N95 is going to save them. Come on, right? There are those out there that are doing that. And I'm surprised I don't see anybody selling T-shirts. I survived COVID-19, that kind of thing, right? This is the level of profiteering I'm talking about. It's the same kind of thing with the Patriot flashlights and Trump coins. Profiteering off the end times is bad taste, to put it lightly. Okay? But be smart. Be smart. There will be things sold on the black market because these people do exist. They will make a dime, a dollar, wherever they can. And so they will hoard much needed supplies, things that are just kind of trivial right now, you know, whether it be coffee or cigarettes or alcohol or, you know, whatever, you name it, cell phones, whatever. When the time is right and no one has these things, guess what they do? They jack up the price and they fleece you. So be expecting that kind of thing. If you are able to right now, and I know that people don't have money. We're all feeling, you know, the effects of you know, the former 8 years of a former presidency. The economy was in bad shape when this one got his hands on it. So we're just recovering. 7 times great? No, not likely. But if you are able, start preparing. And I don't mean go crazy and start, you know, filling, you know, bullets and beans and rice and all that. No, be smart. Okay? Get things that your family needs. Look down the future, down the road. Anticipate things. Medicines, antibiotics, things that may save you in a time of distress. Water's good to have. Food is good to have. I'm not trying to make light of that, but some people go overboard and buy a ton of beans, right? Or a ton of rice. Spread it out over everything. Batteries. You know, something as simple as batteries. What if there are no lights or something like that, right? I know that's unrelated to you know, a potential plague, but again, when all these things are happening, expect the worst. It was something I was taught in the Marines. Always be prepared for the worst. Listen, guys, I'm not trying to be fearmonger. That's not in my nature. It's not what I do. This is very serious. You know, I've been pouring out a lot of hours into looking into this. One reason is because in 2017, I told you guys, right before the solar eclipse and everything, and you know, the going across America and then coming back 7 years later, I did a lot of research into that. I was looking at what happened the last time, which was at World War I. And one thing I discovered was there was a pandemic. So in 2017, I told you guys, expect possibly a pandemic. Definitely war. War, absolutely. But possibly a pandemic. And look at where we're at now. We're in the middle of an outbreak. And it's very serious. So I think that was put on my heart. I wish I would have made more of it. And kept reminding you of it, because now I think because of the incubation period, this is going to explode on us in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be bad. I don't think this is going to get better before it gets worse. Okay, so be prepared. Try not to travel around so much, moving around state to state. I know, you know, we're coming into a season where people like to vacation and go and visit family and things like that. I'm not saying don't, but you know, definitely be prepared. Think about it very clearly. Right? What else? Let's see who we got here.
You know, I noticed at the grocery store.
Toilet paper, very good. That's it. Good. Toilet paper, petrol. Someone said, what Darla? What'd you notice?
I was going to say, I noticed at the grocery store, like last night, the guys were wearing gloves, right? As they're handing me the cash.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing gloves, but they are.
Darla just mentioned something, and when she was at the grocery store last night, she noticed that the cashiers were using gloves. Why? Well, because money has a lot of contaminants on it, guys. If you didn't know that, money is filthy. And so we live at a tourist destination, and money is exchanged all the time. So you never know what's on that money. So another thing, hand sanitizer. Keep this around at all times. Get you a multi-pack of this stuff, right? It's only 99 cents. Have this in your pockets, in your car, in multiple times a day. Use it. Get it on your hands. Out of habit, we always are wiping our eyes and our face and don't even realize it, but that is the number one cause for an exposure, is directly putting it in your mouth or your eyes. So know that. So let's listen to this brother here is from Value Entertainment. It's one of the channels I'm subscribed to, and I want to just play a little bit of this. He goes through it pretty fast. I'm not going to show you. I'll put a link in the bottom of this when I get off, and you can go back and watch it. But I just want you to hear some of the things he said. Brings up some stellar points we need to consider.
The coronavirus pandemic spreading all over the place to the point where Apple, Microsoft, Samsung, Google, Tesla, all of them have plants. They have tens of thousands of employees in China working for them. They send everybody home. They shut them all down. The province of Hubei, 50 million people living there. They cannot leave the province. I'm at a Goldman Sachs meeting last week with the chief investment officer. She's on stage talking about coronavirus. Everybody's talking about this and how it affects them. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the pandemics in the past and how many death tolls we've had, the different conspiracy theories we're hearing about, then how the market responded 6 months later, 12 months later, both in the U.S. and worldwide, when a virus like this took place in the past, and how all of this affects your finances.
I really hope I don't get dinged
Through close personal contact,
just for playing the
touching
audio
and
of this.
shaking hands, or touching an object with the virus on it, then touching your nose, your mouth, and your eyes. And here's the countries that are affected by this. And I keep this in mind when I say countries affected by this, doesn't mean they've had a person that died, because so far we've had 1,500 death tolls from this coronavirus, but these countries have had cases of coronavirus, such as U.S., China, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam, Singapore, Australia, Belgium, Cambodia, Canada, Egypt, Finland, France, Germany, India, Italy, Malaysia, Nepal, Philippines, Russia, Spain, Sri Lanka, Sweden, Thailand, UAE, and last but not least, UK. Now keep this.
Did you hear what he just said? Let's see. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 countries. Now, when I get my computer back, I'm going to run all of these, just systematically run all of these in the coronavirus table. And I expect all of them will probably be there. Very high probability. That's something to think about.
Part of my, I'm not going to get into what kind of a virus this is because that's very technical. It'd be an hour video, and quite frankly, I'm not a doctor to do that. I'm specifically talking about effects of it worldwide and the economy. So now there's two words to hear about: epidemic, pandemic. The real difference between epidemic and pandemic is epidemic is more local, pandemic is global, worldwide. So if something spreads within a nation,
so we're already into a pandemic situation.
Pandemics we've ever had that have affected the most people and cost the most lives. I'll go from top to bottom. So at the top is the Black Death, which was between 1346, 1353. Somewhere between 75 to 200 million people died.
All right, so let me just read these off so I don't get dinged for copyright. So the Black Death, 1346 to 1353, 75 to 200 million people died. The flu pandemic of 1918, 20 to 50, some other sources say 100 million died. HIV/AIDS from 2005 to 2012, 36 million people. The plague of Justinian from 541 to 542, 25 million people died. The Antoine plague of 165 AD, 5 million people. The Asian flu from 1956 to 1958, 2 million people died. The flu of 1968, 1 million people. Third cholera, 1852 to 1860, where 1 million people died. The Asiatic and Russian flu of 1889 to 1990, 1 million people. And the sixth cholera of 1910 to 1911, 800,000 people died. That is staggering.
They used to be the sixth largest economy when SARS took place. Today, they're the second largest. But China today is 19.3% of world GDP. They used to be the sixth largest economy when SARS took place.
Almost
Today, they're the second largest
20% of
economy.
the
Why is
world's
this important?
GDP,
That's a very
guys.
big difference when you're 8.7% of world GDP to 19.3. Now you're the second largest economy in the world. So if something happens to China, everybody's affected by it, because the only...
You hear that? If something happens to China, and we're already seeing it. We're already seeing it. Something as little as a motherboard I need for a computer, I can't get. He's estimating 3 months, guys, and he's guessing. He's guessing, right? So the computer he's building for me is basically some parts he's got laying around. He's going to put something together for me so I can get back to work. But that is the point, and apply that to thousands of different things, from coffee cups to dishes to, you know, a transmission for your car, or everything is made in China. About 80% of the world's goods and services is from China, and that's going to hurt. You mark my words. The next couple of weeks, as supplies dwindle, things are going to get interesting, right? So get it now. If you are able, get those things that you expect that you would need. If you're a person who needs a particular thing, right? I know that a lot of drugs, you know, diabetes drugs and things like that are coming from China. If you are able to stock up with your doctor right now, do so, because the supply chain will be interrupted. And this applies to literally everything. Everything. Toilet paper, you name it. It is coming through China on a boat. So that is to be expected. And that's the whole point of doing this, is to get you guys thinking.
So this is why a lot of industries are taking hits, whether it's travel, manufacturing, shipping, tech, mobile. You've seen cruise ships where people stuck on a ship and they can't go anywhere because they're worried about the virus coming to them. You're here in casino business, Macau. Macau is a tourist place. People go to Macau regularly, shut down. So it's affecting many different industries all over the place. Now, we're hearing a lot of different conspiracy theories. So the first conspiracy theory you're hearing about is from Tito Soto, who is the Senate president from Philippines, and he gets up and he shows this video, this 10-minute video, in front of about 150 decision makers there, and says,
the Filipino president has accused China of developing a bioweapon against its own people, or against Asians, which is something that seems to be a thing with this, is it seems to attack Asians more severely than other people. That's interesting, folks. This implies this is not normal. This is something that targets people.
This is all the works of China. China's using the coronavirus as a way to weaponize against its people, right? And there was a big dispute. We'll put the link for you to watch it if you haven't seen it yet. Some are saying Chinese government's using this virus to attack innocent people. You're seeing a lot of folks that are coming, the government's coming in, pulling people, throwing them into trucks, like quarantine, you know, to get them, protect them from others, saying this could be an outbreak. People are screaming, these videos are going viral. Citizens of China are posting this, they're taking them down. People are getting arrested for no reason. So that's part of it, where some are saying that's one of the things that's taking place. Some are saying U.S. military and CIA is directly involved. You know, another one is China stole this virus from Canada to weaponize it against its own people. Russian TV host says it's Trump's fault. A Russian scientist says the U.S. pharmaceutical companies behind this. And another expert says they're using this as a way to target certain ethnicities. By the way, there are hundreds of conspiracies we can go through, that there's not really a virus going on.
And that's the top ones. And I've seen each one of those in my research. And, you know, except for the one about Trump doing this, I think that all of them carry a little bit of weight. Is very plausible. I mean, think about it. China is busting at the seams with population problems, right? Consumer problems, where they're consuming things on such a level that it's insane. So it would make sense that, you know, somebody who's for eugenics, well, let's thin the herd, right? And if this thing specifically targets Asians, I mean, you can see where they've engineered this thing to thin the herd. That's disturbing, folks. Very disturbing. Even with the Georgia Guidestone stuff, it's surreal when you see it manifested. It's like, oh my. And the thing about it, it's here on the island. It's here in Hawaii. And I got kids. I got children. Now, I'm not living in fear. That's not That's not why I told you that. But it makes it real. It makes me think about it. It's in the forefront. Being cautious, taking precautions, right? So that's what it does to a person when you're confronted with it. And you guys will be too. You mark my words. It is being reported that 1,000 people are suspected in Los Angeles County to have come in contact with this. And that's not the only place. You know, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, 200 cases. New Orleans. Listen, this is on all shores. It is in the next couple of weeks will be very interesting to watch this very closely, folks. So my recommendation is try to limit your travel. If you're traveling internationally or even domestically, try not to do that. Try to take a car if you're able. Otherwise, it's a roll of dice at this point, because the effects of one person contaminating 20 people and those 20 people contaminating 160 people, and the exponential growth that happens, this can get out of control very quickly. And with a 24-day incubation, folks, exponential growth is expected on a high level. The probability is off the charts. That's something I'm worried about here. If they quarantine 30 people, I think they should have quarantined 300 people, because with each one of those people who are exposed, they go and expose another 10 people and another 10 people, each one of those, and it grows and explodes, right? That's what we're seeing as a potential with this thing, because of that incubation period, and people can go on vacation for 2 weeks and not know that they're sick until they're leaving. That's what happened here in Hawaii. Japanese couple who are in critical condition right now in this moment, who are fighting for their lives, were just here on vacation, spending money, passing money around into our system and our economy here, right? Also, cab drivers and waiters and waitresses and hotel people and all of the people that were exposed to these people for 2 weeks is more than 30 people. I guarantee you that, folks. I can come in contact with 30 people just going to the store. So this is here. The official word is there are no confirmed cases, but they expect that to change. So be keeping us in prayer here. We're on an island in the middle of the ocean. And listen, in 1918, the flu pandemic actually it hit some of the islands. Fiji was hard hit. So just because we're out in the middle of the ocean doesn't mean that things can't get here. People move at a fast rate now, and compared to World War I, where people were moving by ships, and the rate that flu exploded onto the scene with just that kind of movement of people, we are 10,000 times more mobile 100 years later, folks. Really, you can go to the other side of the country in a couple of hours. You can be in a foreign country in less than a day, right? So movement is the enemy here. That is why I say limit your movement. Try not to move around too much and come in contact with people. Limit that. Let this thing play out and see what's going to happen. You want to be, if you're going to get it, you want to be the last one to get it, right? Not the initial ones. In 1918, 1917, the flu pandemic came in 3 waves. It is expected that this will also come in waves and will probably mutate into something maybe more serious, more deadly. So that is also something to expect. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm not making any predictions in that realm, but I am saying, based on historical accounts and things that have happened previous in other cases, there's usually a mutation involved and things get worse. Now, here's something to consider. Last year, 500,000 people died of the normal flu virus worldwide. 500,000 people died worldwide. Nobody shut down the whole country. Nobody quarantined anyone. You see what I'm saying? The fact that China says there's what 1,800 people is the latest is BS. I'm telling you, it's BS. The desperation I see in the eyes of people who are smuggling videos out is telling me this is not the case. Some numbers I'm seeing is over 2 million people affected, over 200,000 dead. That seems more likely than 1,800, guys. No one shuts down 750 million people for 1,800 deaths. No one. That's not happening. This is a catastrophic event that's taking place right now. This is why I believe everyone needs to be aware and be prepared for the worst. You are living in the end times, folks. Right? Can we read something? Can I just read something to you? I want to read something. Using someone else's computer, so all my sources, I have to dig for them. Right. Let's go to Matthew 24. Matthew 24, I want to read to you, which is more commonly known as the Olivet Discourse. And this is where the disciples asked him, what is the sign of your coming? What will happen in the last days when you come back? They had no idea it was going to be the last days. What happens here is the disciples ask a question you and I couldn't ask for our benefit. This is what it says, Matthew 24, and Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And what he was talking about was the destruction. He was prophesying the destruction of the Jewish temple, the Hebrew temple, in 70 AD. 70 years later from that moment, Titus came through and sacked Jerusalem. The temple was destroyed. It was completely leveled. Not one stone remained above the other, as he said. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, verse 3, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us when all these things will be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world. Right there is the questions that everyone's asking today. When is his arrival? When is he going to get here? Right? He gave us a list of things to expect before that day. It will get bad, folks. We are to expect that. Yeshua said, Take heed no man deceives you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many, and shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And see that ye are not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, that's plagues, earthquakes in diverse places. These are all the beginnings of sorrows. And folks, I didn't even mention the swarm of locusts that are devastating Africa and are now moving into Europe and into Russia. Biblical proportions, folks, right? Then shall they deliver you to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. That's very interesting. Then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another. We see that now. Many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Are we not? We're seeing this, are we not? And because iniquity shall abound, and love of many shall wax cold, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Listen to what he just said in verse 13. but he that endures to the end shall be saved. In the Hebrew, folks, in Matthew 24, the word used there for endure is he who survives until the end. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. I think it's pretty much hit all the nations, folks. The gospel has been spread. The good news has come. So we're told in chapter 24 of Matthew of all the things that will take place. And I think we can see that on the scene now. There's no question that we are in the end times. And that's just one chapter. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of other end time prophecies that indicate to us the time that we're in. But then when you look at another facet of this, with another level, a sod level, in the codes, it also verifies the times that we're in. So we need to take it serious. The things are happening. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth it, let him understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains, and let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe to them that are with child, and to give them in suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on a Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation. For as such is not been since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And except those days be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. So he's telling us right here, unless the days are shortened, no one will survive. Right? Indicating he's coming back, folks. He's stopping the clock and coming back. When I say that, I mean shortening the days. You see, unless he come back, nobody would survive. It's not fear mongering, folks. It is the dead serious truth. That's what the word says. And if you have an escapist mentality, in other words, if you've been taught false doctrine that you're going to be raptured out of here, folks, let me just remind you, there have been, at least thousands of Christians since the time of Yeshua who were persecuted, who were brutalized. Even to this day, on this planet today, Christians are being murdered. There's no rapture happening for them, folks. Corrie ten Boom, a very precious sister, a Jewish woman who endured the Holocaust, a Christian believing Jewish woman. Her and her sister endured the Holocaust the whole time looking for a rapture, folks. It never came for them. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being hopeful. I hear people saying all the time that this is their blessed hope. Folks, Yeshua should be your blessed hope. You should be hopeful of his arrival, spreading those clouds, the sky rolling up like a scroll. That should be your blessed hope, not the fact that you're going to escape out of something. That's a coward's mentality. And if you're fearful, then you need to get down on your knees and rectify that. There is no fear in the believer. Think about that. If you're fearful of this body being killed, or you enduring some kind of terrible thing, there's something wrong with that. We have been fed false doctrine to the point where we've got this arrogance about us that we are above our Messiah, who was, folks, he was beaten so bad he was unrecognizable. Every one of the disciples were killed. Countless others throughout the time have been murdered and brutalized and killed for the Bible, for the gospel. What makes evangelical Christians different? Because you believe that, you're not going to see any wrath. The wrath is not going to come to you from the Father. That has nothing to do with Satan's wrath, by the way. Seriously. It is Satan who wants to kill, steal, and destroy. So think about that. The dragon pursues the woman. It's not Yeshua that does this. It's not who does this. His wrath after that is to the wicked. It is not to the believers. The believers must endure till the end. Folks, I love you guys. This is why we do this. And it's not popular. My message is not popular anymore. When I was teaching that there was a pre-trib rapture, I had so much support. People calling me all the time, wanting me to come to their churches and show the codes and talk about the rapture and this and that. And when I got into truth, blackballed. Nobody calling me no more. Nobody wants me to come to their church and talk about codes because we found truth, and it doesn't support their biblical perspective, right? Many people want Tickle Me Elmo Bible. Sugarcoat it for me a little bit. I want to feel good when I leave the church. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to be afraid of tomorrow. Folks, that you don't want to know the truth. If you just want to be told good things, and you just want to be patted on the back, and you just want to be sugar-coated everything, you're just looking for a good time, feel good moment. And that's exactly what's being exported in today's churches. Is just that. It is lacking in hardcore truth, the brass tacks of it all. Some will call it hellfire and brimstone, whatever you want to call it. These things are real, and it should be considered, folks. If you believe your Bible, then you need to consider the time that you're in right now. And I know some of the pre-trib rapture people are going to have to keep, recalculating, because all these things that are happening don't fit into your agenda, don't fit into your narrative, right? And you're trying to figure out why are we still here after the tribulation of those days. He said it clearly. He said it clearly. Didn't take any type or shadow. He said it clearly. He said it clearly. Think about it, folks. Father, right now, I want to thank you for each person that has give to this ministry, that has helped us another day, Father, another month. I give you all the glory and the praise for what goes on here, Father, for the revelation that you bring. And I want to thank you for those that you sent, that you put it on their hearts to help this ministry. I thank you, and I lift them up to you, Father. Bless them, love them, nurture them, hide them in the shadow of your wing, Father. Keep them protected from this virus and their family, Father. Shadow them. Shadow them. Keep them hidden from the enemy. We ask this in the mighty name of Yeshua. Hallelujah. Amen. Folks, we love you. And we're praying for you. Be praying for us here in Hawaii. This is serious. It's got real. And like I said, I got kids. I'm not fearful, but I'm a practical thinker. I'm a realistic thinker, okay? And this is not something to play around with. So be praying for us. We'll see you in the next broadcast when I get my computers back. We'll look at some codes, really interesting things that we're finding about this. Very sobering. Shalom. Much love from Hawaii. May Yahuwah bless you.